Welcome to Dhamma on the Sidewalk, insights, interviews, and practical tips on the teachings of the Buddha for people of all walks of life, attuning, exploring, integrating the teachings in everyday life. Simple Dhamma for daily life. I'm Asoka, hosting Dhamma Capsule for people like you. Hello. It's been a while since I recorded a podcast episode. The thing is, I have experienced the passing of the elder of the family, as known as my mother. 88 years old is an honorable age to transition into another reality. It wasn't a surprise this happened. Grief was quite easy to deal with. I just had to deal with a number of practical aspects, as well as perform a few ceremonies to facilitate her journey into other realms and facilitate and help her journey for swift rebirth in different conditions, aware of the suffering experienced in this life and wishing her a better rebirth in a different reality. As I actually have a double practice, having lived and worked as an upasika in Thai forest monasteries for 3 years. I have come to practice and chant a number of funeral chanting, and I'm quite aware of the protocols and chants and practices for pujas from the perspective of the Thai forest tradition. But having left the monastery and having completed pilgrimage to northern India, Bodh Gaya, and having really touched base and explored more in depth Tibetan Buddhism and traveling into Bhutan, I have come to acknowledge the richness of a Buddhist practice. So I call myself a non-sectarian practitioner. Although I still practice and follow the 8 precepts of a renunciant, a bit like a nun in disguise, I also like to explore other teaching. And as a matter of fact, I'm about to embark in Tibetan classes as well. So having said that, what did I do to honor the life and to facilitate the journey of my mother into different realities? I've chanted Bardo prayers, and this is where I'd like to focus here today. The Bardo is simplified explanation of the Bardo is in between moments between birth. In this case, we're talking about death, transition of a person, but it can also be being in the Bardo can also be in between moments when something is finishing and there are new beginnings. But that's another topic. So talking about the Bardo, it is generally accepted that it lasts 49 days. And the first 3 days are quite important for really to help the journey, to initiate the journey in a very good manner and a very auspicious manner. And then the next 49 days to journeying and finding the path to a next rebirth. So I've come to chant a number of times mantras and prayers, and it just reminded me how, interestingly, Buddhism, no matter how our practice is going, no matter how we have encountered it, and no matter how we in which reality of Buddhism we find ourselves, it just comes. It's quite interwoven into each other, all these practices. So, as much as in the Theravada practice, it is very common for the funeral chanting to include really the extinction chants about the extinction of the elements and extinction of karma, wholesome karma, and unwholesome karma, extinction of all the dimensions that represent the human life in physical form. The Bardo has about something similar. It's just the phrasing is a little different. So I'm going to read here something that is actually common to both of them, and that is a chant or subjects for frequent recollection. I am of the nature to age. I have not gone beyond aging. I am of the nature to sicken. I have not gone beyond sickness. I am of the nature to die. I have not gone beyond dying. All that is mine, beloved and pleasing, will become otherwise, will become separated from me. I am the owner of my karma, heir to my karma, born of my karma, related to my karma, abide supported by my karma. Whatever karma I shall do, for good or for ill, of that I will be the heir. And then the chant continues on a number of calling for bodhisattvas to come and help the journey of the deceased. One of them is really very beautiful, and I'm going to read it aloud for you. It comes from Geshe Tenzin Wangyal Rinpoche and read in English. If you can have a look at the screen, it's presented in Tibetan and English, but in English it goes this way. At the moment when the impermanent illusory body dissolves, surrounded by loved ones and relatives and material possessions, may the ties of attachments to them and the grasping mind be liberated. May I achieve the great liberation. At the moment when the impermanent illusory body dissolves, the vessel of the organs cease and the elements transform. May all the visions of sound, light, and rays spontaneously liberate in self-arising awareness. At the moment when the impermanent illusory body dissolves, may the blessings of the kind root Lama and one's own knowledge and meditative experience spontaneously arise. May liberation in a non-dual state spontaneously occur. O Master, from your compassion, bless me that I may cut the illusory visions of the Bardo. Bless me that I may reconnect the mother voidness and the sun awareness. What this text expresses is the illusory state of the present body in which we live, and how it is made of elements, and how at moment of death, when the body is and different organs and different senses are one by one shutting down, there is absolutely nothing that remains. So in front of the corpse, in front of the casket, in front of this body which is going into the fire of cremation, there is nothing else than a sack of flesh, an organ. the mind stream continues and has already left the body. This is why it is very important for the cremation not to happen immediately. At least this is how it is often thought. Then different traditions may have different protocols. And as the person's mind streams and consciousness continues in different realms, it is very important to try to generate spontaneous positive energy to help. It is often said that sadness is normal, but try not to root into that sadness because it doesn't help the beloved person to journey. It just doesn't connect well. It doesn't come into the synergy of this journey that the person is already conducting. It's gone. So it's been a very challenging month for me, emptying the house and removing all and helping and removing all the material attachments of the mother from on this earth. Everything is gone. Everything is really gone. And the aspiration of helping her for the next journey is a form of compassion for the suffering experience in this life and really deeply wishing a better rebirth in a different realm. So it was an interesting month as well as I blended both practices, the Theravada practice of helping with the funeral chanting and positive thoughts, and at the same time the awareness that there are no more elements of her remaining. I also had the experience of being again into a situation of grief, but in a completely different condition as earlier on. Yes, I have experienced deep grief, one of the worst human grief possible, that of a mother losing her child 10 years ago, exactly the same month. Having experienced that grief made me so much more aware and so much lighter in experiencing the passing of the mother, especially because I know that there was so much suffering in that life of hers that it was almost a relief. I felt a relief. Finally, she is liberated for all these attachments and all this suffering that eventually she kept tight onto her. I really nourished during this month compassion for her, multifold, so that my aspiration becomes more to help her in the journey. And I think she is now very much into a very good journey. Interestingly, blessings have been chanting for her by Tibetan monks, by Theravada monks, by all sorts of people who spontaneously offered to help the journey. And I think this is really symptomatic, an expression of, in Buddhism, there is so much awareness and so much less taboo, less hidden veils on speaking about death, that everyone is not necessarily happy about the death of someone, but we are so much aware that death can come at any time that we're always ready. And it's been a challenging month physically, but emotionally it's been reliberated because it pains to see a person in pain. Not physical pain, because she passed basically of natural death, but it's just the combined suffering of a life that has experienced wars and difficult life conditions and all sorts of other things that have unfolded. And giving, with death, giving her a chance to journeying into a better rebirth. So it's been a very interesting month, and that's why I've been quite silent on the podcast. And I am soon to return to publishing and soon to return to my comfort zone of the Himalayas and Asia, continue back to my practice. I wish you well. I hope you're well. I hope you're healthy, contented, and that everything is fine with you. Thank you for being with us.